was first announced, the Associated gathered to celebrate, and Mark unveiled his vision for a Jewish Baltimore. A vision of caring, learning, involved, and a socially just community. As we reflect on these 4 pillars, as they were affectionately known then, I can tell you that Mark embodies all of these qualities himself. 1, Mark is a caring leader. First and foremost, Mark cares deeply about the Jewish people, an obvious attribute for someone in his position. But Mark exceeds the norm. The reflection of his own family, his grandparents as Holocaust survivors, drives his passion. Mark can often be quoted as saying, and I've heard this many times this year, "No one will be hungry, no one will be homeless, not on our watch," when he's referring to community members who need basic services. They say the test of leadership is not when the water is calm, but when the seas are rocking. If anything could be said for the past 10 years, it certainly would be that we live in a time of great fluctuation and uncertainty. Mark continues to lead the Associated and this community through these rough times, always with resolve and steadfastness. When more funds were needed for financial assistance, Mark was the first to respond. Where are we going to get the money? He didn't sleep till we found it. This wasn't a choice for him, but it's a basic instinct and an innate responsibility for the Jewish people. It was with that foresight that Baltimore weathered the financial crisis of 2008. Having just recently merged 4 of our social service agencies into what is now the Jewish Community Services. This critical piece of Associated vision to introduce best practices saved millions of dollars for the system, enabling us to survive that economic collapse. But of course, he didn't stop there. Especially when other communities were retracting, the Associated was championing the expansion of service systems, creating Shemesh for children with learning difficulties, growing Chana for victims of domestic violence, fostering a community of volunteerism through the Jewish Volunteer Connection, and putting an emphasis on engagement and leadership, and to nurture and train leadership for the entire community. And I can go on and on. I would be remiss if I also didn't mention how deeply Mark cares for the people who work for him and in the entire agency system. One merely needs to look around the room today and see all the professionals that are here, both current and past, to support Mark. Mark creates a warm, welcoming work environment and is a champion of the role of the Jewish communal professional. He serves in the volunteer role as the national chairman of the Jewish Communal Service Association, a national organization that's there to enhance and build up Jewish communal professionals across the country, a role that Mark views as critical to success for the Jewish organizations. You can also tell by the role, we have dozens and dozens of employees, if not hundreds, that have been with the Associated for 10 years or more. He promotes from within. And his biggest pride was when the Associated was named one of the best places to work by the Baltimore Business Journal. That's number 1. And I'll be very brief on 2, 3, and 4, because time is late and we all want to hear it from Mark. Because I could be here for an hour talking about Mark, because I dream of it at night. About 2, is that okay? Just about. His work in the community. 2, Mark is an involved leader. Never one to pass the responsibility to the next person, Mark is critical to the financial resource development efforts of the Associated. While other major communities experience quite different results, Mark rolls up his sleeves and is at the helm of fundraising, as all of you here in this room know personally. The Associated has seen unprecedented results in its effort under Mark's leadership. The system has brought in over $400 million in charitable donations, corporate contributions, and government grants during his tenure, providing the lifeblood of 14 beneficiary agencies and several overseas partners, which work on advancing overseas goals. Now guys, you must be wondering, where's that $400 million going? It ain't going to you. Mark is doing what you guys know he does best, right Eli? Helping the Jewish people. That's what he does. This is pretty incredible, Mark. 3, Mark is a proponent of education. One of the highlights of Mark's tenure so far has been the successful implementation of Year 2000 Community Studies, a study which casts light on the challenges and opportunities for the community. Analysis of the study birthed 24 significant recommendations for integration in the associated system, all which have been implemented. Now, 10 years later in 2012, the Associated embarked on its next community study that will continue to provide the data that will inform leaders how to address critical issues and trends facing the Jews of Baltimore. And number 4, and finally, Mark is an advocate of social justice. Knowing the work of the Associated that extends beyond the Jewish community, Mark is an important team member in the Baltimore landscape. Using his passion for people, an unparalleled ability to form relationships, and his knowledge of community, Mark offers the Associated as an advocate for social justice for all. Addressing issues big and small, Mark is the co-chair of the Baltimore Communities Foundation's Initiative on Race, Inclusion, and Diversity, and serves on that board as a director in a volunteer role. He consults with and offers advice to dozens of our organizations, proof that the success of one mission-based organization is success for all. It goes without saying that Mark was recognized as one of the most influential Marylanders by the Daily Record. Now, I could go on and on, but I think by now you guys get the drift. Mark is just a really good guy and does really good things. So, on behalf of the Associated, our entire board of directors, I want to say that we're incredibly fortunate to have Mark Terrell at the helm of the Associated. Mark, may you and the entire family go from strength to strength. Now I'd like to invite Diana, Maddie, Eli, and Samantha to join us.